What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, y'all? It's Don from Screen Static Studios. I'm here, and we're gonna talk about Jerrod Carmichael. He got a new stand-up special, and I'm a Jerrod Carmichael fan. I'm a big fan of him and how he started from his early stand-up to the Carmichael Show, and less on his more recent stuff. But we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about it, and I'm not gonna talk about it by myself. I got a live crew, and they got great opinions. So first up, I'm gonna bring her perspective is amazing, and most of the time it's sweet. So I'm gonna bring up Ashley from my sweet perspective. What's going on?
Hey, Dom, I'm ready. And the people are already talking about, they're raving about this intro, Dom. Kudos to you. You did your big one. But I am not a Jerrod Carmichael fan. Sorry to this man, but we're going to talk about it because a wealth of opinions makes for good discussion. So I'm excited. Thank you for inviting me here.
No problem. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. Yeah, art is subjective. Comedy is super subjective, and but I don't think we're gonna have a whole bunch of mixed opinions on this one. But it's not just us. We got the sweet perspective, but we also got to struggle a little bit. So we got Tyra from Struggle Reviews. She here too. What's going on, Tyra?
What is up, Dom? Thank you so much for having me. Kudos on the intro, because Darlene said it was fire. But yeah, unlike Ashley, I was a fan. I don't know if I can still be a fan. Like, I feel like I've been giving Gerard chances lately for the past, couple years just to see how he lands and, finds his footing after coming out completely. It just seems like we're stagnant and stuck, and I'm not enjoying the comedy as much as I was, before.
Yeah, and like I said, I was a Uber fan before, less so now. And it seems that since he's coming out, since the Rothaniel special and him coming out, it seems like that's taken up a big section of the conversation around him and his content. But with this new special, we're going to talk about it's called Don't Be Gay. So the subject matter is very subtle. You got to watch it to know what it's about. Um, but Tyra, I'm gonna start with you. What did how did you feel? What are your overall thoughts about Don't Be Gay?
I mean, it's literal, if anything. Like, I really missed. I'm never going to say that I don't want Gerard to talk about himself or just remove his sexuality from his stand up. Let's act like that doesn't exist, and let's just be and don't be gay. No. I'm fine with that. I would really like for the dimension to be brought back. I felt like because he's relying on that narrative, which a lot of comedians do, and it can grow stagnant. Of I'm gonna always do stand up about my wife and kids. I'm gonna always do situational comedy. I'm gonna always do audience comedy and rely on them for my jokes. Or in this case, I came out, I'm not closeted, and now majority of my comedy is going to just be based around me being gay and how I was made to feel inadequate about it as a kid, as a child, the tumultuous relationship he seems to have with his parents or just family overall. That just seems to be it. And I was hoping with here, after we got that freaking doc, and after we got Rothaniel, okay, maybe he got it kind of out of his system, and now we can kind of get back to maybe having some of that still there, but still give the other comedy where it could be literal, it could be thought provoking and political, and it just seems like he was touching all these different avenues. Here, it's just y'all didn't like me because I was gay. I'm paying all y'all bills. You wouldn't be nothing without me. I'm the prize. I'm up here and you're down here. But he's always had like this superiority, like because I'm so great. That's always been there. But now it's just kind of I don't know. I don't want to say hateful. It's a little mean. It's a little mean spirited. It just feels like we're watching someone who's hurt and they're trying to deal with it through comedy when whatever is happening, we probably need to go heal from those things before we ever get into a crowd or a group of people. And then it also feels like, I don't know, how you watch something, especially when it's like Illuminati and then they hit like the X File music. It's like somebody got a hold of him and said, these are the check boxes and the things that you need to do to excel and get ahead and be whatever. It's like somebody took hold of Jerrod and said, this is what works, this is what gets you paid, this is what, opens, certain doors in Hollywood that you maybe wouldn't get open when you were trying to go above and beyond to have certain comedy be displayed on the Jerrod Carmichael show, and they said you couldn't do that. But here, if you do these things and you have this particular narrative and this particular partner, the doors are going to open for you, Jerrod. So push and go with that rather than what you were doing before. And it seems like he said, okay, say less. I could be wrong. This could be, just what Jerrod wants to do. But right now, it's painful to watch, and it hurts. And most importantly, it's not as funny. It's not funny. It's not funny. Dumb may tell you otherwise, but this was not funny. And I need a stand-up special to be funny.
No, that is, and I did, when we watched it, I did chuckle more than, because you guys didn't laugh at all. I did laugh at 1 or 2 times, so I'm not gonna act like I didn't. But yeah, that's one of the rules, right? If a horror movie, we can forgive a bunch of things as long as it's scary. A comedy, we can forgive a bunch of things as long as it's funny. And so this was not funny. It wasn't a funny special. And you're right. He does feel like something happened where somebody flipped the switch, and now he's a 90-degree turn. That's the sense I'm getting too. I don't know if it's the Illuminati or his family. He keeps talking about his family. I need his family. I hope his family get a check, because they not getting nothing else. Ashley, what are your overall thoughts about this special? How did we have to pick you up off the floor from you laughing so hard?
You know you didn't. You know it's dry. And again, and Dom said, Ash, I know you haven't seen any of his other stand-up. Go watch 8, which is another special. I watched it and I didn't laugh over there either. And and just certain, like you said, art is so subjective and different things are funny to different people. And I don't mind a stream of consciousness type of set. Dave Chappelle's kind of like on that vibe, right? Where we're just kind of talking. We're talking to the audience, we're talking to ourselves, which is fine. What vexed my spirit is that I don't know how you can be both self-deprecating and pretentious at the same time. Mm-hmm. I didn't know it was possible, and it just gives that it's a shtick for me. Now it just feels like his trauma around his gayness rules and runs his life. When we watch that doc, and there's a live, go watch that live. It was hilarious. About his life or whatever, his reality show. I said, does that man need help? I think he need to be inpatient. I think it's a 5150. I don't think he should be around sharp objects. I think that somebody should watch him. You know what I mean? Because he's licking toes. He's trying to get with Tyler, the Creator, who's farting in his face. It was a humiliation ritual is what it felt like. And when I watched this comedy special, I anticipated there being some response to the critics of the reality TV show, but he even pity-patted with that. What bothers me is I could respect him if I felt like this was sincere. Just like drama, comedians tend to bare their souls in a funny way, right? But you should still feel it. And I think that gets lost when it feels disingenuous. It feels like he's doing it for a check. It feels like it's really motivated by his mental illness. And it's almost like watching a train wreck. He is not funny to me. He's just not in general. But I think if I could have gotten a feeling that he was being sincere and this wasn't from a place of trauma, hurt, and anger, maybe I could have been like, oh, that's not funny to me, but I respect him. At this point, I want nothing to do with this man. I think he's bad in real life, unfortunately.
I do think that's interesting, but I do think that because of his early special 8, I think is to me is very funny, and I think that's just a subjective comedy style, because I rewatched 8 to get prepared for this, and that's why I suggested you watch the first 10 minutes, because I was like, I laughed out loud 5 minutes in, and so but his comedy style is something that I appreciate. And like you were saying about him being pretentious and self-deprecating, before he's not self-deprecating, he's just pretentious. And to me, it came off as a satirical comment on society. So he's saying all of this, but he's being the avatar for society, because I'm saying how I feel, but it's really how you feel. You just don't want to say it. And I always appreciated that avenue, because not a lot of comedians don't do that. But recently, like we've commented on, he's had a switch, and he's had a little bit more. You know what? Me and this.
Don't even put me up there. Don't even put me up there, Dom. Something's going on. I look like a Manny Pixie Dream Girl on that thing. I don't know what's happening.
No,
Pixie Dream Girl.
no. What? Lord Jesus, y'all go. It's not gonna show. That's fine. But I had up here his first three projects. There you go. So I'm just gonna talk over it. His first three projects are this Love at the Store 8 that we talked about, and the Carmichael Show, and that was everything that happened before he came out. And after that, he came these. There we go. That's what I was trying to do. These 5 different projects around, and the 2 HBO specials, little documentaries, I guess technically are before the Rothaniel special and before he came out, but at this point I think it was an open secret. And so it was more of there's this tonal shift where he's gotten more personal and introspective that we already talked about, but he's not the first comedian to do a personal stand-up. He's not the first one to like get personal. And so I'm wondering, my question is like, how does this compare? I don't know how much you guys watch stand-up, but I'm a fan of stand-up. I watch everybody from Kevin Hart to Taylor Tomlinson to Tom Segura. I watch white, black, Indian. I watch them all because that's what I like. But Kevin Hart has had a stand-up after his Infidelity came out, and it was a little bit more personal and introspective. And then Chris Rock had his Tambourine special after his divorce, and it was introspective and personal. John Mulaney, he came out that he was on drugs, he was on coke, he was on everything in pill form, and he did a special after that. And all of these, in my opinion, even Kevin Hart in his own way, these were funny, or at least when you watch them, they were like, all right, I see why people are laughing at it. But with this one, it's his second one. Like, I felt like Rothaniel would have been it. Like, all right, you got that out your system. Now we can get back to what I was a fan of before. And I thought I think I laughed more in Rothaniel than I did here. But it seems like we're retreading a lot of the same things. He's tackling a lot of the same subject matter. I feel like he's repackaging jokes almost. I feel like some of these jokes about his family are the thing. Yeah, you pay for everything and you got it. Like, I feel like a lot of this is retread. So I'm wondering, how does this, if you've seen any of these other stand-ups or any of these other comics who've tried to be like introspective, what do you feel like is the difference? Why do you feel like this didn't connect when those did? Ashley, I'm starting with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over there. Darrell took the words out of my mouth. I'm gonna go over there with Richard Pryor. I'll go over there with Martin Lawrence after his whole situation, right? And the difference is they're just funny. If I can be honest with you, I think my first taste of Jerrod Carmichael being his reality show, or that whatever doc, literally ruined him for me. In the words of Jane Austen, once my good opinion of you is ruined, baby, is ruined forever. And so I don't even think I can see him through a lens of genius. And I won't discredit his prior works. People rave about the Carmichael Show, never watched it. And now I have no motivation. I have no motivation to watch any of his previous stuff. But we come from an era, most of us millennials come from an era where comedians were telling stories, right? They were telling stories about their lives. But a lot of it is about, like I said, delivery and being genuine and being raw and bearing your heart and emotion. Richard Pryor told us some real truths. honey, about who he was smashing, what he was doing with, how he set himself on fire, the drugs of it all. And it was still funny, right? This it just felt like it feels like he's on a campaign, on a tour to denigrate not only himself, but also to sandblast his family. I will never discount a person's lived experience. And it sounds like he really has a ton of trauma around who he is, right? And I just think some things you do have to work out before you can comfortably use those things in your art. Like, I don't think that reality show should have ever seen the light of day, and I don't think this comedy special should have either. I think there will always be sycophants and, you know, people who applaud that type of thing, but for me it all feels like a cry for help. It really did. It did. It feels like you guys are right. He's beating a dead horse. We've been down this road before, at least from the doc. He's repeated all of those things, and if you have to do something for people that you really hate, because it gives you hate these people. It gives you're doing it out of duty and obligation. And it's unfortunate to me. I don't know. It gives cautionary tale. Like, you can have all of the money, which he gloats about. You can have all of the talent, all of the genius, and be a miserable wretch. And I think that's the lesson I learned from it. And I don't think that's the lesson he wanted to give. I think he wanted to make some money and make people laugh, but I don't know. I see enough Black trauma every single day than to see him kind of embody it on stage. So yeah, the difference for me, how does it compare? Theirs is just funny, and
That's fair. Tyler, what about you? How does it compare to other introspective stand-up specials?
You know, my introduction to Jerrod was the Carmichael show. I had never seen any of his stand up prior. And I was so excited about the show because I was always one of those children of, yeah, I know it's, the 90s or the 2000s, but I'm going to watch the Jeffersons. I'm watching Good Times. I'm watching Sanford and Son. I'm watching All in the Family. And it is such a callback to those type of shows. Like, wow, are we really going to go there on, primetime TV? Did he really just say that? It just felt like he was taking chances and leaps kind of in this era that we really don't see anymore. Like, is that a live studio audience? I was like, okay. He felt like a throwback to, even if I don't think he's like a Chris Rock, your Eddie Murphy's, you're like, okay, he has something to say. Once I did get to his stand-ups, I was like, oh, I appreciate a comedian who has their own identity. That's really hard to do because a lot of it is kind of like, oh, da 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 da. But I don't care if it is Kevin Hart. If you hear a Kevin Hart joke, you know it's Kevin Hart.
Mm-hmm.
If you hear Eddie, if you hear Chris Rock, if you hear Dave Chappelle, you know that it's them. And I like that he had his own narrative and how at times how intelligent it was. Preferably, my favorite comedian is always going to be Dave Chappelle. And I like when, or Bernie Mac on a good day. But I like when a joke is so good, you ponder on it for a long time. And it's like, wow, he really just like, and then he did this whole story in this arc, and then we came back around to it. That was really creative. Or, those really good stand-ups where you talking about it at the water cooler for weeks because it was just that good. I felt like there was potential, like heavy potential with that before. And I don't think it compares. And I'm even going to throw Kevin Hart in there because I don't know his journey. I haven't been invested in Jerrod enough to know how he came to be. But a lot of those comedians, to get to where they were really like struggling and having to put in so much time to perfect their craft. And I don't know if that's something Jerrod had to do when you hear about, Chances and the Laugh Factory and all these, because it seemed like he was pretty young and we already had these stand-ups and we already had, the specials and the show and, movies and things. And, he's Jerrod's pretty young at this time. So I'm like, well, how were the circumstances, when you got put on? But it seems like that would have gave him some time to really cook and hone his craft a little bit more to where even what we saw in, Aid or the Jerrod Carmichael show, it would be even better now. It feels like he's regressing, But it feels like in his mind, maybe he felt like him being closeted in the sexuality is what was holding him back. So you would think that, okay, now that that's not a burden, I should be able to just be really great and excel because I don't have that holding me back. It seems like that was keeping him together, which is sad. Which is sad. Now it just feels like we can't, stand next to these comedians, and it's just giving hurt people are going to hurt people. And this is way beyond just comedy. I was made to feel away because I was gay, and anybody who ever had a problem with it, look at me now. I'm successful, even though I'm miserable as hell and I'm suffering. But the people are still laughing, so I'm going to keep selling it to you. Nobody so far has told me it was bad. I keep getting these specials. I keep getting these deals. But is it funny? It's not. And I feel like if it continues to go this way, who is your audience? And then I also like a joke where we know who this joke is for. We know, like, okay, this is your audience. Like, we know who Kevin's audience is. We know who Chris's audience is. I was like, well, Jerrod, who is this for? Who is this for? Who's buying a ticket to listen to Jerrod in these jokes? I don't know. I wouldn't buy it.
And you at that point, and then something Ashley said about people, because Ashley was talking about there are certain type of people who praise this type of stuff. And it made me think when I was doing research for this live, there was a Variety article, and I love Variety. They're very respected. But the Variety article headline reviewing this was Jerrod Carmichael's new special proves that he's a genius. And I was like, wait a minute. And it was like, oh, and I'm not one who subscribes to a lot of Hollywood's conspiracy theories in the sense of like the area where it's like, oh, the black man got to put on a dress or this humiliation ritual and stuff like that. I don't wholesale subscribe to stuff like that. I mean, I do think some stuff like that is present, but I'm not a big subscriber to that. But when I saw that, and I was like, when you were debasing yourself this whole special, but the smart, intricate, layered commentary on society comedy, and get these articles. The stuff that I had him when I was watching, and I know this is gonna get y'all to scoff, but when I was watching 8 and the one before that, Love at the Store, I was like, oh, he the next one. I was like, when Dave Chappelle retired and we ain't got no Martins no more, I'm like, he the one. And then we just got derailed. And I'm sure, like, a part of that is him. The restraint he had to do was probably parameters that he needed. A lot of people need those restrictions for their creativity to flow properly, because when you're appeasing other people and you're making other people happy, you kind of taken away from yourself in some sense. And so, but it just seemed like you said, he's getting rewarded for this. HBO then wrote him how many checks for?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is wild to me. And that feels like you said something about how he got started, and with his second, 8 was his second comedy special, and he was 27 at the time. And so for you to have your second comedy special that young, I feel like now I got a grade on the curve a little bit, and he might also just be getting into that area of his career that I think every comedian gets into, and even your beloved Dave Chappelle. I think get into a position where the thing that made you good is not present in your life anymore, and now we see a downfall, because like just like Tom Segura is a white comedian, and he was very good. He has a special called Ball Hog that I think is one of the best specials of the last 15 years. But since then, he's gotten a lot more money. He's gotten a lot more comfortable. He doesn't struggle anymore. And I feel like his comedy has suffered since then. And it's the same with a lot. I feel like Cat Williams been telling the same jokes since 2005. I just feel like we've gotten certain comedians get to a point where it's like, I'm here and I'm coasting at this point. And I'm like, for Jerrod to start so young, I would hate for his decline to start already. But he's 38 now. So it might be time to hang it up. He needs to write some more TV shows or something. But this hurt my heart. My next question, though, is kind of in line as far as like, what do you? We've seen his first few specials, and we kind of get a sense of what those are for or what those are about. And now we've seen his turn. what do you expect from Jerrod, like going forward? Like, if you know what, me and these buttons, we ain't gonna make it. But what do you expect going forward? Like, if whatever the next Jerrod Carmichael project is, whether it's a sitcom, whether it's another stand-up, whether he, God forbid, writes a movie, let him not do that. But he has another TV show. What would be the next project that he could do, or what would you expect from him that would be all right? Maybe I'll check it out. Tyra, I'm gonna go back to you.
Nothing. I'm expecting exactly what we're getting. Like, I don't think he has anything to share right now until, and if that's if he even wants to, as if he's even feeling like, you know what? I don't know who could watch this and go like, is he is he okay? Like, how could you not? Because it's alarming. Even just his look, he looks like he's in distress. He doesn't look okay. Um, the camera angles, I was just like, is he okay? I don't think he's okay. I'm expecting this until the money stops, until, maybe this isn't, as successful as something, or maybe whatever is following. Like, okay, it's dwindling. When the money stops, then it's like, oh, okay, I need to switch it up. But it seems like he needs more than that just to switch up. It seems like he needs help, and he needs to have a conversation, and he needs to go heal. So that would be nice for him to go away and then have the perspective of like, y'all remember that ish I put out? Man, I don't know what. I was really tripping when I did that. But now let me come back and give you my best. But as long as HBO keeps providing him with this money and this opportunity, I'm expecting more. Whatever hopes I had for him, they ended with that doc. Because there's never going to be a moment where I want to come on and it's just like he's a nasty person. And it's like, and I mean literally and physically, because I'm not putting no feet in my mouth with no damn stranger. It's just, we ain't trying to kink shame. I'm just saying, it's just like the disconnect that he had, not only with his parents, it's just like his family overall. It's just like this pushback and this separation because I'm here and you're over there and this is where I want to stay. And it's like like being a comedian is one thing, but when you're a nasty partner, a nasty brother, a nasty, an uncle, a friend, a brother, then it's just like, oh, like what? There needs to be some, because it can be the most problematic. Most comedians are awful human beings. A lot of them are awful, but we separate, art from the situation, and it's just like, but they're so damn funny. Oh my god, that was terrible, but this was good. It's just like, oh no, this is just a whole bunch of terrible. So exactly where am I supposed to land with you as a person and with your comedy? If it's like, well, Jerrod, he's just having a moment. He's going to be great. After all, I love Jerrod. He's so cool. No, Jerrod is stank. Jerrod is a little awful. And then the comedy is awful. So I don't know what I have to grasp. I'm expecting the same thing. I'm expecting him to keep pushing beyond and pushing boundaries. It almost feels like, what can't I do? And y'all not going to support it and give me money or even an audience. It's kind of like having, like, I was like, this feels like Bamboozled. This feels like the Spike Lee movie. It feels like, okay, if I did this, what else? Like, oh, you guys are going to support me in this? You're going to pay me? Like, why would he switch it up if it's feasible for him? There's no reason to. I would like for it to be totally different and for him to go heal if maybe he's okay and this is him being okay. I don't know, Jerrod. But I don't think that's what we're getting. I think at this point we're gonna see him bent over somewhere. I don't know. I don't know, but I don't see where else we could go. Like, I feel like we're gonna see him in some situations and be compromised. I don't know.
Man, I hope not. But boy, yeah, because if HBO because I know people watching this, and that's the sad thing.
Mhm.
People are watching all of this stuff, and HBO will keep writing the check, and he's gonna keep pushing the envelope. And I'm worried that he is going to get destructive, and he's gonna keep pushing until something happens. And like you say, he's going to lose it all, or he, God forbid, something happens to him physically, or he just gets in one of these compromising situations, and that's where his wake-up call comes in. I want him to find his external creativity again. because the well is dry on digging into your life. Like the well is dry, and this is not a way to heal. Like these documentaries and these reality shows, the special fine. One special to me should have been enough, but that's after you heal. Like the Jamie Foxx special, that wasn't funny, but it was a good performance. I always say it was a good performance. But to me, it was after. Like he didn't leave the hospital the next day and be like, "All right, let me get back on stage." He went through all of the processes, healed first, put together a special, gave us one, and then started doing a whole bunch of bad Netflix movies. Like that was how you're supposed to do it. And I just feel like Jerrod is trying to go through therapy on TV.
Is that what you mean? That's what is that therapy?
Well,
Because I would not like when it said that it was "don't be gay." I was like, okay, I see what it is, but hopefully he's here telling us about I was here, but now I'm here with it. Like none of it is healing. It's just more of the same as to why he hates this. This is bad. My parents did this in church and this and that, which was probably the only reason why you laughed at that tide joke because it was the only joke that didn't revolve around his sexuality. But it had the family in there, but it was also something that was literal and could, pertain to anybody.
And that's what is the saddest part for me as a viewer, because I don't know this man. I come to him for content, and I come to him because he used to put out quality material. And so what's sad for me is what I thought was somebody who was very intelligent commenting on society now feels like a character. Like the person he was in the beginning. Well, originally I thought it was a character. I guess I should say that. I thought that he was putting this mask on and being this, not great person. He was being kind of a butt and a jerk to the audience because he's like, I am you. I'm trying to hold up a mirror to society. But then after now, it's like, oh no, this is just you. There was no real skill involved in that because you were just you being you. And
I really think
yeah, and so I was like, man, I was projecting intelligence and skill onto you because I thought this was so revolutionary, and it was just you and somebody gave you a microphone, and that's what's sad to me because now that makes me feel like I'm not gonna get it. But Ashley, what about you?
Well, I don't have any expectation from this person. Books it as, do you think he has an overall deal and deadline to do this? Yes, he had a 2-year overall deal with HBO. They said in the 8-figure range. So they paid him big money to get up here and show his natural behind. You know what though? But I am here for a redemption arc, and it just feels really heartbreaking when I hear you two talk about what it was before and how you viewed and respected him before, and to see what he's kind of devolved into. And I do think there's credence to the statement that Dom made earlier about sometimes art being synonymous with the struggle or whatever space you're in. Sometimes the best art is created within that space. This, on the other hand, I don't feel like that's it. What I can say, what I've observed and what I've seen and what I've heard is that there is a level of genius to Jerrod Carmichael. And I think he's aware consciously of what he's doing and how this goes and what the money look like, where the money resides. But I also think there's a very scary underpinning of a person when they think they've arrived and know everything, that it's hard to keep people in your camp who are going to tell you the truth. Especially when you're subsidizing these people's lives. And I just think it's a very scary spot for somebody to be in with all this genius, with all this with all this pretension, with all this knowledge, but then this heart of brokenness. And it just really scares me for him. Like I said, I'm hopeful for a redemption arc that maybe he'll have this aha moment where like, oh, this isn't it. This isn't me. Like I'm beyond. But I fear a lot of times this type of situation results in disaster. And that's my concern and fear for his life. And I can only pray that some people are around that can tell him the truth and that he'll receive it. For whatever reason, it feels like he's spiraling. Like I said, after watching that reality, whatever that was, when we literally see the worst of him. I mean, with his boyfriend, he's a cheater. With his friends, he don't show up to the wedding because it's about him, and he was in the wedding for his friend. The friend's wife was in the comments talking
The best, was he the best
listen,
man?
yes. And the wife of that wedding was in our comments talking about how terrible he is in real life. Like that's just the type of man he is. I think it's very hard to come back from that. Like I really, really do. I hope the best for him, Dom, but I have no expectations for that man. Sorry to that man. But I hope he's not a danger to himself at this point, because it does feel like spiraling.
And one last question. And it's kind of an extension of the expectations, but I wonder because I don't, and I'm struggling to ask it because he doesn't really have too much of a legacy to speak of. But I wonder, would we, if we didn't have the reality show, right? If the reality show wasn't there, and Jerrod retired or was not there anymore, and this was the last that we had of him, would our perspective of him be different? Because like when we have, and I'm not putting him on the same level as Richard Pryor, I'm just saying as far as like the controversy, because Richard Pryor was very afflicted and had a lot of trauma, went through a lot, and the people in his life kind of bore the brunt of that, and that's true for a lot of artists. And I wonder, is what separates Jerrod, aside from it not being funny, is it because we know so much? Like if we didn't know it, I wonder, would we have these intense reactions? But you can't unknow what you know, and you can't pretend like it doesn't color your experiences. But I would just wonder, would we put him in a different light if we didn't know? I guess.
For me to put him in a light, I can't put him over there with anybody. Like I said, I feel like so much was, and I'm not saying he's not talented, but so much was given so quickly and so soon. I don't feel like there's enough material outside of all the other stuff we've been getting on HBO to go, oh, he's one of them ones. And whatever happens, it's gonna be excused until he get back to this greatness. It was like on the cusp of something to me. I was like, there's a lot of potential, like you said, for him to be like, oh, he's next up. But a lot of the times when you're next up, there's so much work being put. There's this craft, and it's so many stand-ups to where, oh man, that one's even better than it's if you still, holding on to something like 8 or even, the Jerrod Carmichael show, like, what have you done lately? And right now, it's nothing. And it's kind of, yeah, it's really depleted even what we gotten before. And I never just thought he was like, oh, my stomach hurts funny. I thought it was like just so much potential. And it was kind of reminiscent of the OG comedians that, your Eddies and it was, and I like that he had his own individual thing. But I don't think he got to the mountaintop yet. It was just like, oh, okay, he can be one of those. And then it's just like kind of dwindled because we came out and then that was all that it was about. I don't think it would have affected it either way because it's just not enough material to me.
No, yeah, I feel it. What about you, Ashley?
Child, if I would have never seen it, I would have never known him. I wouldn't even watch this special, so he would have ceased to exist to me in my world, in my orbit. But I mean, if I'm just going based on this most recent one we watched on Saturday, yeah, it would have been a no for me, hard no, because again, it really just mirrors what he did in that reality show. He's sharing really embarrassing stories that he's seemingly proud of his risky behavior and his wild reckless abandon, his infidelity to his partner, the fact that he don't love all his nieces and nephews equally, his mama who he hates her stinking guts, and he's paying all the bills but can't come in the house, and it's just it's just more of that. And I think you beat a dead horse, right? Like I think there comes to a point where it's like, well, damn, like what is everything else is the sky blue. Now, I will say it's a stark contrast from 8, because of course he's talking about politics. He's talking about life in general, how he's apathetic, and it's hard for me to find a cause. I will say there was a glimmer maybe of something a little bit better over here. But like I said, him resting, ruling, and residing in this one small compartment of his life, and I get it that when you've been closeted for so long, there is this need to scream it from the rooftops, and you want to sit in it and be fully aware and make everybody else aware. But we get it, Buki. I think there's a part of him that still doesn't accept it, which is why he goes so hard. I still think there's a part of him that's not fully at peace and is still warring, because I don't think he would still. It's so charged and tinged when he speaks on it. Like, I don't know, it's almost palpable that there's still pain there. Like, oh yeah, I used to do this and this. I used to, cover up this and do this. Like, there's still pain there. And I think until he works that out, this is going to be on the forefront of his mind, and this is what he's going to keep presenting to the world. So, as far as the first time meeting, could he have been something? He might have been a contender. I would have never known, though. Dom, I would have never known.
You just said there's pain. I thought you were going to say, I think it's shame. I think he's ashamed.
Yeah.
That's what I was, and I think it's a little masochistic, because I think with his family and stuff, I think he puts himself in these positions where the superiority complex is very there, and he talks about. I think in his stand-up, he wasn't being hyperbolic when he talked about the fact that he wanted praise. He was like, when I walk in the house, y'all should drop to your knees because I got all of this, but and you saw in, I forget which of the documentaries it was that I watched, but it was like he had garnered all this success and all this notoriety and all this stuff, and his parents are still like, I still don't want you to be gay. Like it was like, I still hold these beliefs and view you in this way. Like you still kind of little Jerrod, and I don't like that you gay. So I feel like he almost puts himself in these positions, and I might be callous, but I'm like, if you don't like me, I ain't gotta be here. You know what? But that was a great discussion of a mediocre piece of material. I can't believe y'all stretched that out because this could have been mediocrity. But I appreciate y'all. Do y'all have any final thoughts about this or what y'all got coming up, Tyra?
I don't have. I need to get in contact with tech support. But as far as this, like, I just really hope he gets the help that he needs because I felt like it was very alarming. I thought the behavior is like shock and awe. It's almost like when something's been kept from you your whole life, it's like, nah, I got it. I want y'all to all see it. It's like, wait, Jerrod, we don't want to. We saw it and we're accepting. But I think the people that he want most to be accepting, there maybe not, and that's where the situation lies for him to be stuck and stagnant. Because even with all the money because he brags about the money and all the fans and I'm this and I'm that, but at the end of the day, my mom and dad, you're not bringing your lover in this house. You're just not. You're not bringing into that. We just don't want that from you. And I think that's just hard for him to deal with. So I hope that he heals, kind of gets beyond that and accepts, regardless of that, I'm just happy to now be who I am and progress my comedy in a different direction. Other than that, I really don't care to hear nothing from Jerrod of this sort. If something's like, if he comes out with Still Don't Be Gay Part 2, I'm not watching it.
Ashley, you got any final thoughts?
Yeah, Darfalina said, if they can't respect him, he needs to let them live their lives without him in it. And here's the thing that wrapped up in all of this anger and animus, there is this sense of obligation that he has. I, in my heart of hearts, don't believe he would ever see them out in the street. I think he'll continue to pay and subsidize their lives as long as they're living. I believe that. I think he'll complain and moan about it. But there's something so deeply ingrained in his psyche that he's never going to cut them off, at least not financially. I don't know what the state of their personal relationship is, but that's the mind bender, and that's the stuff I'm concerned about. He's got to work that out. because you can't hate yourself and really hate these people, but I'm paying for these people because I love these people, but I really hate them because they don't love me fully. They don't love me unconditionally. So it's deep, right? Like it's beyond me. I am not a mental health licensed professional of any of the sort. He needs to go see somebody about that. But it's evident from a layman watching these demonstrations and these behaviors that he is tortured. This is a tortured man who is going through some deep internal battles. And like I said, he's obligated to that family. Let them live their lives without him. He's not going to do it because he feels like he's the great white hope in their lives. But yeah, it was what it was. I don't ever have to go back over in these streets again. But thank you for hosting. And it was a good conversation because I didn't know where to begin with this. So we appreciate you, Dom, taking the reins and facilitating this discussion.
Oh yeah, no problem. This one hit close to home because I keep saying, I was a big fan of his early work, and honestly, I think that his turn kind of is wild to me personally because comedy is probably the most subjective art form there is because it's just one person giving a point of view and they got to make a whole bunch of people laugh, and what makes us laugh is very varied. But and you asked the question earlier, Tara, about like who is this for? And originally, when I watched Love at the Store and I watched 8, I was like, oh, this is the first time. Yeah, this is for me. This is the first comedian ever that it wasn't just somebody I liked. It was somebody I could identify with. Like Chris Rock, I liked. Kevin Hart, Bernie Mac, I liked. Even Kevin Hart's early stuff I liked, but he was like, oh, he's saying stuff, and he has a perspective of the world that kind of is similar to mine. And so that's great. And he can make it funny. I could never do that. So now I'm living vicariously through him. But then it's like, but you made this switch, just crazy turn. And it's just like, oh, well, shoot. And so I'm like, it's a crazy thing. But very much thank you guys for showing up. Thanks for talking about this with me. And thanks, man. 55 people in the chat while I'm live, man. That's a first for me. So I appreciate y'all, man, coming through this late at night on Memorial Day weekend. Support the troops. I'll see you guys next time.